Gina Fant-Saez, and I'm the CEO of eSession.com. And eSession.com is a internet database of the best talent in the music industry. The best musicians, the best session players, the best engineers, mastering engineers. And it's a way to tie in all of the home studios around the country. Basically what I've found is that most people now have home studios, they have internet connections, and all these amazingly talented people have their home studios. And this is a way of kind of bringing everybody together and creating a community based on home studios. So what we've done is we've created a database, and the database consists of musicians and engineers, and they must have a minimum of 15 major label credits to be in the database. We verify everything. We go to artistdirect.com and allmusic.com. So when somebody signs up, we check out their credits, make sure they have 15 major label credits, and then they are in the database. So if a producer or a songwriter is making an album and they need to hire a bass player, they would go to the bass database. You can check right here. We've got a flash menu up here. It's also accessible here from this is the home page. So you click on bass, and then it loads up the bass database. So here's our different bass players, and each player has what's called a profile. And in each profile, the first thing that shows up is the discography. So you can go through and see, this guy's played with Duncan Sheik and Avril Lavigne. We've got Tony Levin, who played all Peter Gabriel, Mark Egan, Zev Katz, Jeff Berlin, John Giblin. So basically, somebody would go scroll through the database of all the different musicians in our database and choose somebody. In their profiles, you can read about what computer they're using. Okay, this guy's on a Mac. He's using Pro Tools. You can read their biographies. You can look and see what equipment they're using, what interfaces, what's their signal flow, what microphones they're using. You can look at their instruments. So you can go through and they can put photos of their instruments. And so there's his basses. And you can also listen to audio samples of their work. So they can put up different audio samples of their work. So if you want to hire somebody, you click on Work Request, and it costs $25 for a client to contact anybody in the database. And the client would receive would have to pay the $25, and the talent would receive the work request. And when the talent receives a work request, they would get an email that says, "Hey, Tony Levin, you have a work request," and they would log into eSession, and this is what they would see. This is kind of the back end of the site. But they would see their client name, their project name, the song title, so they can stream it, they can deny it if it's not quite their thing, they can accept it, they can defer it on to their managers, they can refer it on to another bass player if they're not available. And then after they accept, it moves on to negotiation, and I'll kind of skip all that, but basically the client would create a form that lets the talent know how many tracks they want, what do they expect out of this session. So from there, after they do the negotiating, if they come to a financial agreement. So Tony Levin says $500 to play on your song. The client has to pay 50% up front. And then they move on to what's called a song page. So this is the heart of eSession, and this is our workspace. It's all web-based, drag and drop FTP. So it doesn't matter. The client can be in Cubase on a PC. The talent can be on Pro Tools on a Mac. So it opens up the whole audio DAW community regardless of their platform. So the client would create a song page, and the first thing they would do is go up here to song properties, and they'd say my tempo is 112, my meters is 6.8, my sample rate is 96K, my file format is AIFF, I'm working in Pro Tools, I'm in Tiger, here's my song title. So Tony Levin works in Logic, so if a client is working in Pro Tools, they would create stems. Most people are familiar with stems. Basically, sometimes drum tracks are 10 tracks and a gigabyte full of drums. We're asking people to mix all their tracks in categories to stereo. So instead of somebody downloading 10 tracks of kick, snare, hi-hat, they would just take a stereo track of the drums. So they would basically have the reference of the drums without having to download all this file size. So the stem bank is right here. The client would create a stem bank. Each one of these is basically a folder that holds all the audio files for that instrument. So this is the keyboard bin, this is the drum bin. So the client can create a new bin, so they can create all sorts of bins for their stuff. Anybody hired to play on a song, their icon shows up right here in the stem bank. So here's Tony Levin that's been hired to play on a song. So when Tony's done playing a part, he would upload his final tracks to this bin right here. And there's notice there's a little lock right here. So if Tony said $500, the client's paid $250, and they owe $250, they cannot download the full resolution bass tracks until the balance is paid. There's two ways to work with a musician: fast track and interactive. Fast track means the musician works on their own, and what they do is, as they're playing their parts, they drop rough mixes into what's called the preview bin, and the client would listen up here in the preview player, and anybody hired to play on the song also shows up in the buddy list. So they would go through to Tony Levin, and if he's not online, they can leave him a note and say, "Hey Tony, I like what you played, but the chorus was too busy. Please replay the part." So then Tony would go back and replay the part and put another rough mix in the preview bin. The other way of working, you can work in real time. We've developed a real-time plugin with a company in Germany called Digital Musician. So it's an RTAS, it's VST, and it's AU, and it allows two people to work in real time. We like to say it's the new millennium's answer to the glass partition in the studio. So basically you can work in real time, so Tony can be over there playing bass on Logic, and I can be over here in Pro Tools, or I can be in Cubase. It's not, it's cross-platform, AU, VST, RTAS. So whatever I play in my session, he hears over there. Whatever he plays over here, I hear over here. So you log in with your eSession login and password, and say at 4 o'clock on Tuesday I have a session with Tony. I click on connect, and we're connected in real time. We're working with video. This menu here allows you to change your upstream and downstream rates so you can have better quality audio. You can sync, you can work in sync, so I can press play. It controls his computer over there. And it basically allows two people to work in real time. Because of the slow internet speeds in the US, it does use MP3 compression, so it's not really so much for recording in real time as it is for producing the track, getting Tony, the whole track worked out in real time, and then Tony would record the track in his own studio and then upload the track to the song page, and then the talent would pay the 50% balance and download his track. So basically, this is the mix bin for mixing engineers. So a mixing engineer would download. We have another bin called the session bin. So 80 to 90% of everybody on eSession is using Pro Tools. So the session bin allows people, instead of creating stems, come on. This is my partner Kevin Killen.
Hi. Can you just play the audio?
Absolutely. So this is our plugin in working.
Now we're hearing my audio from my workstation into Gina's studio 3,000 miles away. Thank you.
You bet. So the session bin, if people are working in Pro Tools, sorry for the interruption, they can drag whole Pro Tools sessions instead of creating stems. So the mixing engineer would download the Pro Tools session and then put their final mixes. Their icon would show up right here, and they drag in all their final mixes into this bin. This is the master bank for mastering engineers. So the mastering engineer would go to the mix bin, download the final mixes, and then do the mastering. And we're working with DDP images, so the mixing engineer would upload a DDP image, the client would download the DDP image and burn it to toast. So we don't have to FedEx CD references, we'd actually have disk images of the CD reference. The media bin is for any kind of extraneous artwork or photos or MIDI files. It's for any miscellaneous files. And then the preview bin again is for previewing. Last thing is song status. It keeps track of anybody that is on the site, so the client can see Tony Levin logged in at 3 a.m. and downloaded your file, so you kind of know who's working on your track. But that's eSession.com, and we launch officially on November the 1st, and just go check it out. The whole database is up, so you can see who's in there. We get 5 to 6 signups every day, and the database is growing. One last thing I'll show you is the eChart. We have a chart application, so if a musician's playing on your song, you click on New Section, you say, here's my new section, this is the intro, and the intro is 8 bars, and then I want to make this blue, and I want to add some comments. So I say, okay, and let's add another section. This is the verse, and this verse is also 8 bars, and it's a meter change. We're going to go to 3/4, and we're going to have key change to the key of F sharp, and we're going to make this one red. So then you go through and you define this whole thing, and you can leave the player's notes. So you can say, hey, play power chords here. So the musician can see your chord changes, and I say, here's my chord changes. I'm going from a D to an A to a B. And then this shows up, you say view chart. It gives the player a whole chart of the song. And this is accessible right here on the song page. You click on View eChart, so it gives the musician a chart to follow. So there's your 5 minute tour, and check it out. And thank you.